All right. Welcome back, everybody, to LiveStream under the Moonshine number 310. This is going to be part 18 of the letter, and Rebecca number 3. So, in last night's live stream I did of the letter, we saw more of Rebecca, and it was a roller coaster ride. Definitely entertaining as we saw some events and things that we had never seen before. So we found out in the last part of Rebecca that the little girl Kylie, the little blue-haired girl that had came up to Zach while he was in the park and that had seen Rebecca in the school, we found out that Luke, of all people, is her godfather. So Rebecca didn't know this, but she walked into a place to get something to eat on the night of, I think it was Tuesday night or Thursday night, whatever night it was that we played last. And she had a long day. She was worried about, what's her name? No, what the heck's her name? So Rebecca was worried about Isabella, is her name. And she was really worried about Isabella because, she wasn't there at her next door apartment when she went into work. And she was worried because Rose, who is Isabella's co-partner in the real estate agency, had been found dead recently. And she was worried about Isabella because Isabella was almost always up really early. And she went into her apartment to check on her, and even had a key that Isabella had given her, way before. She unlocked the door, tried to knock on the door to find out she's okay, walked in, and found nobody there. So she was worried sick about her. She ended up calling up Ash to have him check on her, and Ash found out that Isabella had fallen asleep at Zach's house. And we know that from when we played Zach's point of view, that he had slept on the couch and let Isabella sleep in her bed when she came to his door, basically shaking, horrified, because she had seen the thing, the horrible zombie thing from the mansion. And most people have seen this zombie thing that we've seen in their point of view, but a lot of our people in this visual novel, much like Rebecca, have pretty much just shunned it off as like their imagination, or because they weren't getting enough sleep, because they were sick or whatever, and thought it was 100% their imagination. But Isabella has definitely taken the zombie thing to heart. So anyway, we got a very entertaining scene in the little diner where Rebecca had witnessed Luke treating Kylie, little girl Kylie, with a lot of arrogance and just buy the damn thing. And evidently he had promised her to buy her some kind of cookies or sweets in the diner. I guess they didn't have what she wanted, so he was just like, I'll buy you everything but that, whatever, let's just get out of here. And Rebecca had heard enough of this snarky attitude from Luke towards the little girl. Remember, Rebecca knew this little girl from her school and was pretty close to her. So Rebecca had enough and finally took out a book out of her bag and whacked him upside the head and almost knocked him unconscious with this hardcover book. But yeah, Luke hadn't taken very kindly to that, and retaliated with anger, holding a fierce grip on Rebecca's hand in a moment of sheer tension. And Rebecca played it off about as cool as she possibly could and didn't give in. Didn't give in at all or apologize or anything like that. And eventually she warned him, and we got to make a choice on if she would go through with it or back down. But we went ahead and went through with it, and we need Luke right in the nads, right where it counts, and made his eyes fill up with tears because it hurt him so. So, quite the conflict that we saw in this little diner between Rebecca and Luke, right in front of the little girl, Kylie. So Kylie was acting all innocent and wanted to know why they were fighting, and Rebecca played it off and said, hey, they weren't really fighting, they were just having a disagreement and a talk. Pretty much lying through her teeth, and I'm sure, sure Kylie is smart enough, even as young as she is, to know that that was a bunch of bull. Anyway, guys, at the very end, Rebecca had went back to her apartment. She found Isabel doing some work for her real estate job out on like a seat right outside of her apartment, and had kind of interacted with her, but Isabella had kind of given in. She had told Rebecca something she hadn't, even confided in her best friend Ash or in her other best friend Zach. She ended up telling Rebecca that she had seen the thing again, and it absolutely horrified her, and it was freaking her the hell out. Rebecca decided to let her, decided to listen to her and let her talk, and improve their relationship a little bit, and finally went in, she went into her apartment eventually, and decided to go to sleep. So that was another long episode. Last night was part 17, and we're in for more of Rebecca tonight. So without further ado, guys, let's go ahead and get started with part 18 of the letter. The brief lull the past 2 days has offered is nice while it lasted. Or as nice as it can get, with worries of Isabella's whereabouts creeping up to me every now and then. She hasn't showed up after the last walk we had in the hallway. Or the last talk we had in the hallway. And the dinner I've bought has since been given to a different neighbor before it's spoiled. By all means, this shouldn't be anything to lose sleep over. She's gone on work trips before, usually for a day or two. This might simply be one of those. Although it's often with a message saying exactly where to. But it's the dour note that she ended our last chat with that gnaws.
Like an ugly premonition.
Right? And as expected, just as things start to settle, and a steady rhythm finally worms its way back into my routine, Thursday morning brings further disturbance to the now calm waters. With little ceremony, though, still enough to ripple through everything. In retrospect, I really should have seen this coming. Oh boy, what's coming now? Luxbourne is a small city, relatively speaking. Compared to, say, London or Glasgow, it's nothing but a tiny mass of land boasting a mere population of 68,000. But those numbers alone are nothing to scoff at when standing in a busy street. And if you pay close enough attention, faces taking the crosswalk or riding the subway will soon glow familiar. How unfortunate that out of that number, there has to be Tio fucking Luke. I encounter more than one.
Oh,
Oh,
a few
boy.
problems popping up here and there that the agents failed to tell us somehow.
Yeah, she still doesn't even know his name. She just knows him as Sleazy Douche, and he's in the school. So he says a few problems popping up here and there that the agents failing to tell us about somehow.
Nothing a few hired hands can't fix, of course. I would have preferred a place near the city and something that's new to save us all the trouble, but darling wife insisted.
Wow.
Who am I to say no?
Ah, are you kidding me?
His smug head is the first thing I see upon turning into the hall, in spite of the small crowd of parents and students gathered at the corridor for the primary career day. It's not that he stands out. He's pretty unremarkable at first glance, frankly. However, it's his intense that draws people's eyes to him. Countenance. The manner he carries himself with all the confidence in the world, his mere presence and dwarfing everything around him. I'm willing to make a bet he's also enjoying the attention it garners him, especially the ones coming from the women.
What an ass.
Yeah, she just knows him for exactly as he is. A single glance at him and I know immediately that one way or another, if we ever bump into each other again, my day will effectively be ruined in some capacity. He also exudes that air. The sort that makes you want to run him over with a lorry and pass it off as an unfortunate accident. And with him, it's either you want to punch him or let yourself be charmed. There's just no in between. I'll gladly do the honor of the former myself, but alas, there are people around us. Now I'm stuck with having to face one of the two.
I shouldn't have volunteered.
And at the time, helping out sounded like just a good idea. I've no classes left today until after lunch. I could have opted to stay at the teacher's lounge and work on my lesson plans, but that means being left alone with our deputy head and his chatter. He's a good man, but crivens he can talk anyone's ears off. So, the moment an opportunity arose, I jumped on it. It's a simple task to boot. Just deliver a whole box of materials and a few posters for the event. Maybe stay around to assist if time will allow it. I just wasn't expecting him to show up here. Out of the frying pan and right into the fire. Had I known, I would have stayed and suffered through our deputy's impromptu speeches about his life crisis instead. But what's done is done now. Going back is simply out of the question. With how unexpectedly heavy the load I'm carrying is, I'd hate to lug this for a trip back just because my pride can't take another second of interaction with this guy. He is insufferable, alright, but I've had my fair share of dealings with teens of, or more or less, the same temperament, all considerably younger than him, and they actually listened. If he wants to be difficult like last time, so be it. But he can bet his sorry English ass I'm not standing down. Yeah, we saw she's not going to stand down to him in the interaction they had in the diner the previous night. Left with no other choice, I brace myself and suck in a breath, mustering every bit of patience I have to step out into the hall. My grip on the box lightens when I pull it closer to me, an attempt to assume a low-key air as I amble towards the room. The box is not big enough to hide my face, even with the stuff piled on top, but if all else fails, I can just hit him with it. So she's actually trying to hide her face with the box she's carrying so he don't notice her. And then she's like, you know what, if he notices, I'm just gonna smack him upside the damn head with this box of crap. It's pretty funny. Still, a small prayer forms in my head. If there's even one listening out there, please grant me enough restraint. Better yet, I hope he doesn't notice me at all. That'll definitely make my life a lot easier. Seriously, how hard can it be? He's standing a few ways from the door, and there are plenty of people between us to use for cover. If I'm careful, I can just go in, hand in the stupid box to whoever's in charge, and forget every plan of staying any longer than necessary, and step out as soon as I can. Easy as pie. But as luck would have it, the exact moment I reach the room's threshold, someone, barrels towards me. Oh boy. She latches onto my waist before topping the sudden commotion with a gleeful squeal. That's gotta be Kylie. Yep, that's Kylie. The force of it nearly throws me off balance, sending the item stacked atop the box tilting dangerously to the sides. And with a child's added weight at my waist, pinning me on the spot, and both of my hands occupied, watching is the only thing I'm able to do. Uh-oh. The short seconds in between, it slows as everything gradually slides off the box's small surface. Under different circumstances, this would have made for a funny story. Some other time. Comical even. Until another set of hands reaches out and steadies the posters, threatening to take a nosedive right to the floor.
Oh, careful now, Daisy. Don't make a mess here.
So Luke actually helps her keep from dropping and spilling everything in her box. Wow. My entire body freezes. Upon hearing his voice alone, an irrational impulse to hit him immediately bubbles up. But before my limbs could catch up with what my brain is currently screaming at me to do, he moves to take the burden off my arms. Irritation gives way to actual surprise. And then, just confusion. It is in that moment when instinct finally kicks in, and I tug the box closer to me before he can fully lift it off.
What are you doing?
So he tried to help her and be a gentleman by taking the box, probably just to be an ass more than anything. And I like the fact that she tugs at the box and keeps it with her. And she's like, what the hell are you doing?
What does it look like? You're surprisingly slow on the uptake for someone of your profession, aren't you? Bloody, doesn't this school have people for this kind of work?
I'm going to ignore that slight to my alma mater and my work, because that's not what I'm trying to get at. You know what? Why don't we just rephrase that to something you'll easily understand?
Oh boy, what's she gonna say?
Why exactly are you doing this?
Well, you look like you could use a bit of help. Have you seen your face while you were heaving this around?
Mister, I'm pretty sure if there's ever a look on my face, it's entirely because I saw something extremely unpleasant this morning.
Aren't you a ball of sunshine today, Daisy? Having a bad day, aren't we?
Oh, you have no idea.
I'd put it away if I were you. You might scare the children.
Oh boy.
You don't have to worry about that. This isn't my department. I was just asked to bring these. Anyway, I can handle this myself, mister. The room's just right over there. Behind you, in fact. Now, if you could please move over and make way, it would do the whole world some good.
Keeping my voice level throughout it is a miracle in itself, but regardless of how polite my request is, he simply doesn't budge. Did what I've just said merely fly over his damn head? Were my choice of words really that difficult for him to comprehend? Surely, it shouldn't be that hard. I think he might be a little touched in the head. I'd like to ask him that, actually, but Kylie chooses that instant to pipe in.
Don't worry, Miss Pink. Teo's strong. You can leave this to him. My papa does it lots of times, but I'm not allowed to talk about it to anyone.
Okay.
Teo says it's confidential.
You can't say confidential. Funny.
Confidential, Munchkin.
That's right. Teo's smart, isn't he, Miss Pink?
I'm still of the opinion that he's a piece of shite, but I must admit, his goddaughter's excitement is contagious, as always. A smile makes its way to my lips. She has to budge from her place. Just to be honest, I'm starting to lose some feeling on my stomach with how tightly she's wound her arms around it.
I'm sure he is, Kylie. But I'm also sure he'll find better use for it elsewhere.
Yes, hint, hint.
Like helping you out.
Oh, well, that's one thing, but
Kids, man, kids.
You heard the kid.
no one's asking you.
You wound me, woman.
And I'm quite certain I can do more damage than that. Shall we give it a try?
Oh boy.
Again?
She's reminding him of what she did to him last night. This is great. He pales, stammers for a bit, but he ultimately decides against saying anything and settles for a brief show of discomfort instead. He's probably having flashbacks of the last time we met. Exactly. His composure when he finally regained some of his bearings says it all. It's nothing short of hilarious, if I do say so myself. That is hilarious.
I'll have you know that threats never work on me, Daisy. Not in a million years, not ever.
You're assuming it's a threat.
It's not a threat, dude. It's a promise.
How cute.
I love the way she just antagonizes him.
That too. I'm not scared of you.
Yeah, but she definitely knows how to push his buttons.
Just because you landed a hit.
Do go on. Keep telling yourself that.
It was a fluke, you hear? I was caught off guard and your damn book left a dent.
That's too funny.
If I end up in a hospital because of what you did, I'm sending the chief of Luxburn Police after you, woman.
You don't say.
Just give me that bloody box.
He snatches it out of my arms before a single word of protest exits my mouth and quickly disappears behind the classroom. Not that it matters who brings it in now. My prior irritation has already melted into amusement. He's not so bad once you figure out how his temperament works. It's almost similar to a child. That's pretty funny. Although I still have to ask...
Kylie, did your Tio eat something bad before coming here? He's unusually nice today.
A far-fetched idea, I know, but it's the only reason I can think of why this asshole is suddenly acting like a decent human. He's, well, kind of, quite frankly, far from being. First and foremost, we didn't end our last meeting on a good note. And if I were him, I would avoid the very person who put a dent on his skull, as he so aptly put it. Why is he acting so friendly 2 days later?
He always is. But I made him promise to be extra nice to you since you helped me so much. I think you're gonna be great friends.
Kylie put him up to it, huh? I quickly stomp on the urge to groan loudly and gag at that. He's the last person I'd ever want to be chummy with in this whole damn city, but Kylie doesn't need to know that.
Are you sure it's not something he ate during breakfast?
I gave him some jelly babies this morning. Really brought me lots of them. Mama said I should share, so I offered half of it to Tio when he picked me up. He likes the black ones.
Oh, that's probably why he's weird. Jelly baby overdose.
He could have done everyone a favor and choked on them all while he's at it.
Do you want some? I've got more. I couldn't find Melody or Takako this morning, but I'm sure they'll be fine sharing some of it with you.
No, I'm not really very fond of them. I was just asking. Oh, where's your mum, by the way?
Out of town with Papa.
An unexpected pang hits me at her words. The statement, though innocent enough, unearths a whole trunk of memories from childhood. So eerily familiar. Nights spent eating dinners alone. The number of days coming home to an empty house growing with every passing year. And sometimes several Christmas Eves spent with relatives instead of my own family. It's too late to think about it now, but when I remember, the dull ache is still there. Familiar, though lessened by the years now. Beside me, Kylie takes a step back, having gotten tired of clinging to me. There's nothing but cheer in her. She doesn't seem too affected by the fact. Though it does make me wonder how much of it is real and how much is there to just mask the loneliness, if there's even one. What a lucky child.
Weren't they informed of career day beforehand?
Yeah, I told them all about it. Mama was looking forward to it.
And they still left?
Uh-huh. It's important business, so it can't be helped. They promised to tell me about it when they come back tomorrow, though. Papa said he'll give me a gift if I behave. I've been a good girl, right, Miss Pink?
You always are. But they asked they asked your Tio to look after you? For this?
That's funny. They asked that douche? I mean, wait a minute, I'm sorry. They asked you to look after you?
Nope, they didn't.
No? Then how?
It was supposed to be Tia. Mama likes her better than Tio, so she asked her, but she's sick and had to visit the doctor today. Oh, that's supposed to be a secret, by the way. Oh, but I think it's a bit confusing because Tio said she also went shopping. That's unfair. Don't you think so, Miss Pink? Mama doesn't allow me to go out when I'm sick. It's still okay, though, since Tio always buys me sweets before we go home. I'm gonna ask for a parfait today. Extra large.
Boy, your teeth are gonna rot out, Kylie.
Don't tell Takako, okay?
Listening to her talk like this, it's easy to get a picture of where Kylie's fondness for the guy comes from. She's far from a demanding child. Unless you made a promise of some sort, she never forgets those. She'll make friends with anyone, wherever she is. Buy her a few things, and Viola, you're settled. No wonder she's so attached to the man. That douche probably showers her with gifts whenever he can. I can't say if it's the sentiment's the same for the latter, however. He doesn't seem the type, and probably just does it for the sake of getting some peace and quiet whenever he's with the girl. Classic techniques.
But before that, I'm gonna show him to everyone first. It's gonna be great. No one else has a gazillionaire fairy godfather.
Aw, yeah. I mean, kids would be impressed by that. Somebody so rich. Yeah, he's my friend. He's my godfather. He's my daddy. Whatever. He's rich. He's a gazillionaire.
Also, when I grow up, I'm gonna be exactly like him and marry someone really handsome. Like Tia did. That way, I can be awesome too.
She is cute. She's adorable. There's some sort of misguided logic in there that I'd like to correct. But before I can say my piece, Mr. Douchebag steps in, fresh out of the commotion from the classroom behind us, and plows into the conversation with every subtlety a wrecking ball has. No shit's given, despite no one asking for his damn opinion.
Munchkin, sweetie, trust me. You don't have to marry someone for that to happen.
I don't?
Just do your thing, darling. I'm quite sure you can do great things on your own without lugging around an extra baggage with you.
Tia married you.
Kylie drops the statement without any sort of preface, and the moment it lands, the douche finds himself grappling with the conversation.
Yeah, well, that's true, Munchkin, technically. But it's not the same thing.
He's a little tongue-tied for sure. A small frown creases the girl's eyebrows as she tries to comprehend her Tio's rather vague explanation. Look at that sad little face. It's not surprising either when Luke tenses under the child's questioning gaze. It's familiar. I've seen the same look a great deal of times before. On Ashton whenever he's trying to say something that he can't quite phrase. Another second passes before the douche moves, kneeling in front of Kylie and placing both his hands on either side of her shoulder. Kind is the last word I'll ever use to describe this man, but in this very moment, there's a smile on his face that I can't place. Tender by all means for someone as obnoxious as him. It's a curious thing to say, if not a bit odd.
Listen here, sweetie, Tia was already a great person before she met me.
She is? But I don't see her doing anything. She's always at home.
Not always, Munchkin. Did you know she's really good at numbers?
You're good with them too. You helped me with my homework once.
Once?
Well, Tia's much, much better than me. She used to do maths with big numbers.
Oh, like millions?
No, gazillions. And she's really, really good at it. So much so that her dad let her manage anything that had to do with it. That was even before she met me, too.
Does that mean she's better than you?
Oh wow. That might be the wrong question to ask there, Kylie.
Oh, leagues, Munchkin.
Oh, he says League's better.
Way, way better than I'll ever be.
And for some reason, I don't think she's still talking about his wife's mathematical prowess as his voice trails off. In fact, if I had not been paying closer attention, I wouldn't have even noticed the change in him. The slight shift in his smile, from one that's tender to something wistful, like remembering a memory he has always been fond of, but has often kept just to himself. And at that fleeting glance of it, a teeny insignificant part in the world somehow also shifts. Opinions changing, impressions moving.
You know what? Why don't you ask Tia next time you have homework,
Okay, next time I'll ask her to help out.
See? No need to marry a good-for-nothing bloke.
Can I also tell her to not stay at home anymore? If Tia's good at it, I'm sure she can help you out too. I'm Papa.
That's funny.
He computes a lot of numbers too. Tia can help him.
You go do that. I'm sure she'll love to hear it, Munchkin, even if it's been a while since.
Another silence from him. Then, without missing a beat, he turns Kylie around and lightly pats her shoulder, in a gesture to end their conversation right here and there. Probably before he can say other things he's never intended to say or a child is not meant to hear.
But off you go first. I think I saw your friend run off to the other classroom. The one with the pigtails? Go say hi to her. You still have those jelly babies to give her, yes?
All right.
Well, he convinced
Wait
her.
for me, okay? I've got loads more to show you. They put up my drawing on the bulletin the other day. I'm gonna take you there later. I'll be back.
Such a kid. He soon disappears behind the small crowd, none the wiser to the sudden change in mood around her. Luke straightens as soon as she's gone. The expression on his face grows less kind now, and there's no one to reassure. Despite that, a chuckle still escapes me. His head quickly snapped to me, an accusing glare clear in his eyes. Yeah, look at that glare. Although it's less threatening now, considering what I've witnessed earlier. Funny how one person's impression of someone can easily change with that minute detail.
Why are you laughing like that?
Don't mind me. I just saw something surprising today. Don't let it bother you.
Putting it like that won't make me any less inclined to ask. What is it, woman? If this is another one of your threats, I've already told you it isn't going to work on me. That good teacher act isn't going to fool anyone.
The good teacher act, huh?
What makes you think it has to do with you?
It always has to do with him, didn't you know, Rebecca?
I could have just remembered something funny. Not everything in this world revolves around you, mister.
Wow.
I am not daft, Daisy. It's on your face for all the world to see. Now, say it so we can be done with this stupid talk.
Well, I love how he's clenching his fist. I let out another laugh. That's kind of funny. More to delay than to express any sort of amusement over this whole matter. In truth, I don't even know where to start. One wrong move, one wrong word, and I might offend the man. He's childish enough for that. Even if I'm about to say what I'm about to say are just mere honest observations. You're good at handling her? Or do you really think that? I guess I'm just gonna be nice. Yeah, it seems like she's kind of amused by it all, so I think the more plausible thing she might say here is just be kind and you're good at handling her. Something tells me she's gonna come back with some snarky comment about what a piece of shit he is too, though. We'll see. Relationship status updated. What? Okay, so we were like down here, I think, somewhere around the inn. Now we've improved the relationship a little bit with that comment. Oh well, regardless of how he reacts, it's not like it'll have an impact on anything between us. I have no plans of getting too friendly with a man, though he might have some good points. Emphasis on might. The best treatment I can hope myself to give him is to stop thinking of him as a sleazy douche. Besides, after seeing that look on him, I figure someone like him can use a little compliment here and there. He probably doesn't get it much, considering how coarse his own language can get.
Can't you act a wee bit polite for even a second of your life? It won't kill you. You'll easily get answers that way, you know? Instead of demanding things from people like a temperamental man-child.
I'll be nice when I want to be, woman. Don't tell me what to do.
So, despite his attitude and, don't tell me what to do from him right here, this conversation and their whole, as we just saw with the relationship jump between them or whatever, it's still 10 times better, maybe 100 times better than the last time they met in the diner. Yeah, with her smacking him upside the head with a hardcover book and kneeing him in the nuts, and his firm grip on her hands, and yeah, that was a lot of tension. Here, it's a lot more casual, a lot more at peace, despite the words.
And here I was just thinking how you're doing a brilliant job as Kylie's guardian. Was I mistaken?
Was I mistaken?
He mocks her.
What? Sorry, I didn't catch that.
Stop playing dumb. I hate to admit it, but you actually seem to be good with kids. Possibly even better than most of the teachers here. What do you know?
Wow, she did compliment him pretty good. I've expected him to just take it all in, bloat his ego even more, and then brag about it. Instead, what I get from him is a sound resembling of a squawk. Or maybe that's just him choking on his own damn pride. I can't tell above the hubbub surrounding us. But when I glance at him, only a mortified expression is on his face.
No.
No? You should be proud of yourself. At least there's this one good thing about you. Isn't that nice to hear? Pretty sure not a lot of compliments get thrown around about you, knowing how you are.
There are a lot of good things about me, Daisy. My hair, for one.
My
There's
hair?
also my extraordinary good looks.
Oh my.
Wax lyrical about those all you want. I'd be happy to hear it any day. Praise anything about me but that.
What is so repulsive about it? Even Kylie likes you.
Yeah, why would you be so upset about somebody saying you're good with kids? I don't see how that's a bad thing.
Shouldn't that tell you anything about yourself?
Kylie is one kid, not even my own. Trust me, you do not want to see me bring a spawn of my own into this world.
Yeah, I agree.
This will be an abomination.
Yeah, I agree. No bringing more Lukes into this world, please.
Is that what you keep telling yourself?
Maybe. Is it any of your business?
No. But if I didn't know any better, I'd say this is because you yourself think you're a little piece of shite and somehow it'll pass on. It doesn't work like that, by the way.
And the last remark just came out. There might be a sliver of truth in it, but I shouldn't have phrased it like that. Even for my own standards of the kind of person I'm talking to, it's quite rude. An apology is already at my throat, but the minute I open my mouth, all of what I've prepared myself to say just dissipates. Lost in the moment in front of me. He has turned gaze outside, staring at some point past the buildings, blocking the view of the sky. He's equally lost in his thoughts. He's a vexing man under so many standards. However, in this very moment, the morning light streaming from the window lends his features a certain air. Softer, less severe than what he often flaunts. I might as well be looking at a completely different man. There's a tender note in his voice when he finds it. The words muttered under his breath, not intended for anyone but himself. Nevertheless, it reaches my ears, unintentional as it may be.
You're right. She deserves someone far better than me.
Oh wow. All that talk about self-worth makes some sense now. It isn't some profound knowledge he pulled out of his ass. It has come out because he's already been there, likely still stuck in the middle of it. Preaching about your own personal experience is easier after all. Less room for mistakes, and more for a dose of self-loathing. What a complicated man. Just when you thought you've already figured him out, he does one thing and says the other. People like him are the most difficult to gauge, far harder to understand. Yeah, it might be exactly for this reason why some are so easily charmed by him. It's the mystery that catches them, of wanting to find out what's underneath that bravado. I won't count myself among those yet. His winning personality isn't exactly my cup of tea. But sometimes, once you get a glimpse of what's beyond that machismo, emphasizing with a man is such a steep hill to climb. If the comfortable silence we now share tells us anything, that is. Perhaps this is as close to friendship as we can ever get. Several insults flung around, with a few shared silences in between, and that's not exactly a bad thing. He's not exactly a bad guy either, despite the awkward start that we had. Maybe it's for this reason that I can't resist throwing in a little comment to lift his mood before leaving him.
You know, Luke, you're not such a bad person.
Is that supposed to make me feel better? I'm touched, Daisy.
Take it how you will, but a little attitude change would help. A lot.
Bollocks.
Yeah, look at me, he's mad again.
Right, of course. Let me know when you're done with your lecture, ma'am.
Oh boy.
And you can probably start by not leaving your wife out while you're having some quality time with your goddaughter. Who knows? Maybe that'll help change how the child sees her.
Where did you even get the idea I'm leaving my wife out? Have you ever even met?
No, but I did see her with you two last time.
His indifferent expression quickly dissolves into a confused scowl, while I meet it with matching perplexity. It has only been 2 days. Surely his memory isn't that damn bad.
What? When was this?
At the cafe, after you left. She was sitting right beside you.
Oh boy.
Kylie was at the back and you were driving.
Yeah, that wasn't his wife.
Daisy, are you sure you haven't accidentally hit yourself with your own book? Because that damn thing's quite thick, and I'm really getting worried about you.
Yeah, she's seeing
It has
it.
only been a few days, and concussions can be dangerous. I suggest you have that checked.
Well, you asked. I just answered. It's pretty rude to make her wait like that, by the way.
How can I make her wait when she's not even with us?
What?
It was just Kylie and I that night.
Now you're just pulling my leg.
Luke excels, long and drawn out, his impatience rapidly changing his companionable air around us. In the face of it, I tense. I've accidentally stepped into another minefield. Any chat I've had with him so far has been like this. Why this still surprises me, escapes me, but above my worries of offending the man is my own bewilderment. I remember well enough what I saw that night, yet he says something completely different now.
Wifey was out with Kylie's mummy that night. She wasn't with us. How do you think I ended up on babysitting duty?
Huh.
But in the front seat. And Kylie's...
Miss Pink!
Uh-oh, what's she upset about? Kylie's sobs reach my ears first, and then her familiar weight returns around my waist again. So she goes and hugs Rebecca, and she's crying her eyes out. Hot tears seep through my blouse as she buries her face into it, her arms winding tightly around me. Aww. Luke and I briefly exchange worried glances, his own lips shut tight with concern. Her cries are soft enough not to attract much attention. Most of the visitors have been ushered inside the rooms by now, anyway. Those still linger, though, watches our little group with great interest and concern. If I don't get a better handle on the situation, I have a feeling Luke will start yelling at everyone soon. Kneeling, I gently pull the girl away from me, cupping her face and wiping away tears, creating little trails on her cheeks. Aww. Her mouth is drawn in a miserable pout when she peers up at me.
All right, Kylie, calm down.
Yeah, take a breath, Kylie.
What happened?
It's my friend!
Aw.
That's a little too vague, Munchkin.
Let her speak, Luke. Who is it, Kylie? Melody? Or was it the other one?
Yeah.
Did the two of you fight?
Uh-oh. She nods, then immediately clams up afterward, letting her sobs communicate the story instead, or as much as her shaking shoulders can tell me. Right behind me, Luke gives a nervous huff while he shifts on his feet. He must not be too used to handling children crying. What a wuss.
Sweetie, I won't be able to help you if you don't tell me what happened.
Seconds pass before she responds again. The tears are already gone when she finally musters the strength to talk, her cries subsiding into mere sniffles.
I wanted to give her the rest of the jelly babies, but she won't come out.
Aw.
Where is she?
In the little girl's room.
Is she still there?
Another nod.
She won't say what's wrong. I kept asking her, but she told me to go away. Career day's going to start soon. I saw the prizes Miss Alice will give us for good. She's gonna miss it.
Is that what you told her?
Yeah, she won't listen. She won't even take the jelly babies. After I saved it for her, too. Tio Luke wanted to eat the red ones, but I told him it's not for him. Miss Pink, can you talk to her? Tell her to come out, and I'm really upset with her.
Aw. Just a little childish argument then. Times like this, I'm glad I teach teenagers mature enough for petty squabbles. I do love being around children, and I won't mind having one or two of my own in the future, but it takes a whole different level of patience to teach several of them. I honestly admire my colleagues who willingly took the challenge. Normally, I'll leave this for their homeroom teachers to fix, but I can't just ignore the imploring look that she shoots me now. There's another weakness I have to steel myself against before I ever think of having one of my own. For now, I just give into it.
Okay, tell me where she is, sweetie.
Sighing, I stand up and gesture for her to lead the way. And Luke trails quietly behind us. Even with a small distance between us, his apprehension is palpable, understandably so. No one wants to be caught in the middle of a children's spat. But in the end, this is all just a part of my job. I can't just shy away from it, can I? Kylie escorts us to an adjacent hall. At this hour, the corridors and the rooms lining its sides are empty. Save for the gentle rustling of leaves, the twittering of birds outside, and the tapping of our feet against the floor, the whole area stays eerily quiet. Not unusual, though. This is the part of the building reserved for club activities at the end of the school day, and with the rest of the school busy with another event, it's only natural for it to be this deserted. Come afternoon, right after class, it'll once again be filled with people. And for the time being, I focus on the toilets at the far end, heading straight for it. Luke stays behind, opting to wait for the end of his this drama to end instead. Wait a minute. Luke stays behind, opting to wait for the end of this drama instead, obviously not wanting to deal with another person's kid. Meanwhile, Kylie follows right after me, unusually silent as we approach the ladies' room. Sometime before we made the turn down the hallway, she has stopped sniffling and started singing a tune under her breath.
London Bridge is
Aw,
falling down,
that's cute.
falling down, falling down. London Bridge is falling down, my fair lady.
That's adorable. Probably to brace or calm herself, or maybe this is just her way of preparing to pull her friend out of her sulk. It certainly reminds me of another person. I make no remarks on it, however. It's all part of growing up, they say. Let her learn. The doorway's slightly ajar when we get to it, and from inside the sobs of a girl echo weakly, barely audible enough in this kind of hush. Kylie's friend? Turns out Kylie's not the only one upset about all this. Despite the situation, a smile forms in my lips as I call out to her friend. Oh, that's a creepy sound. Listen to that. That is a creepy whimper.
Hello? Hello there? You're Kylie's friend, aren't you? Melody, is it? She's looking for you.
Children can be so amusing sometimes. Granted, they can be exasperating, especially around this age, but the endearing things about them outweigh all of those. All you need is enough level of patience.
Career day's about to start, too. You'll have to come out, or you're going to be really late for it. Miss Alice won't be happy if one of her kids isn't there. I heard she brought little gifts for everyone who'll behave. Don't you want to receive one?
However, her cries show no signs of abating, and they only grow louder. Melody. Not close to a well. Alarming regardless.
Are you okay?
And from where I'm standing, it sounds almost like she's in some kind of pain. And it's not impossible. They do that sometimes. Hiding what ails them for fear of reprimand. Oh, yeah. If it's like that, coaxing her out might be useless. It also makes sense why she chose the loo farthest from the classroom. Wasting no time, I gesture for Kylie to wait and amble towards the door, calmly, so I don't alarm her. And at the same time, a distinct sense of deja vu hits me. I've been in the same position before, behind a door with someone crying on the other side. My calls ignored as their cries grew into a wail. Just this past week, actually. Yeah, you put it off thinking you were losing it. Even so, being in the same situation before doesn't bring me any comfort. I'm putting up for the child beside me. Is a thick undercurrent of worry trickling into my stomach. I take one last breath and then I nudge open the door. And it all happens in the span of a split second. I don't make it past 2 steps into the room. Her cries abruptly stop. Light footsteps shuffle behind me, coming to a halt at the door. My heart skips a beat. And when I turn...
Kylie?
Oh my god, this is the first time we've seen Kylie like this. Oh, that is horrifying. That is absolutely terrifying, seeing Kylie like that.
Miss Pink? Miss Pink? Why didn't you help her?
Oh my. My whole body becomes motionless at the sight of her, words catching in my throat and heart pounding rapidly against my own chest. This is Kylie. I'm sure of it. Yet nothing in the manner she speaks or the way she tilts her head in question carries the youthful, innocent vibe that she always brings with her. As if I'm merely looking at a dead, hollow imitation of the child.
Can't you hear her? She's asking for your help.
Oh my god, this is so freaking creepy. But it is not those that trigger a memory. It's those chilling eyes. Calling. Beckoning.
Why won't you listen to her?
All at once, the memory returns to me. A tide that has receded and now returns to the shore with an overwhelming force, carrying images of a single moment from days ago. Of a world passing by in a blur, and of features I can barely discern under the little light that there was. Not even a week has passed, in fact. In this moment, while I keep my eyes trained on the child before me, they return with such unbearable clarity. There are no horrid wounds this time. No blood streaming down a pale face, thank heaven. Just lips contorted into a small, twisted smile. They brim with venom I've never expected to see in a child, sending teeny pinpricks of dread crawling up my limbs and winding up my neck.
You're a bad person. People like you deserve to die.
OMG. This is haunting. This is horrifying. What is it, guys, about this kind of horror, rather than the lady that we've seen every time before? What is it about this kind of horrifying look on a young child that we've seen, an adorable little blue-haired girl? What is it about making a baby or a young child into a monster that is sometimes just much more bone-chilling, much more horrifying, and this is no exception. And now she says to somebody that she adores, to Rebecca, she says, "You're a bad person. People like you deserve to die." Oh my god, man. This is blood-curdling chilly. I can't breathe. Yeah, I can imagine. Those whispers and laughters yet again. Judging, mocking, taunting. Each scathing word ringing sharp and true against my own ears. My throat closes in. My whole body tenses. A chill settles at the tips of my fingers, every digit gone rigid from the cold. And with every single draw of breath, any struggle for air or freedom, the coils wrapped around my my body tighten, dragging me down. The coils wrapped around my body tighten, dragging me down. What the hell is that? A gradual, torturous descent into another bottomless abyss. What the hell is taking her down? On and on and on, until I lose my touch with myself and the whole world.
Help me.
Oh no. Until darkness claims me, and, unexpectedly, a note. Of course, a note. The letter. In the distance, harsh and piercing, cutting through a thick stupor and shattering the haze without warning.
Are you ladies done with your business here? I don't have all morning to wait for you two.
Oh my god, did Luke actually save the day by asking if they're done in there? My eyes snap open and the world shifts into a place with a ragged gasp. And when I glance up, a different set of eyes greet me.
Are you okay, Miss Pink?
Aw, look at that. So much different. That music, the music in the background is just very well done. No anger. No vile hatred in them now. Just plain, sincere concern. Yeah, she's beautiful now. Bit by bit, I become aware of my surroundings and myself as warmth steadily slips back to me. I've reached out for the nearby counter to steady myself at some point, and my knuckles have gone white from how rigid my grip has been. It's over now. Yet the tension still hasn't left my body. My heart still hammers hard against my chest in an erratic rhythm, and my breathing still comes in short, shallow bursts. Before me, Kylie fumbles with her hands, utterly unsure of what to do to an adult, in what's probably a laughable state.
Did you get sick?
Aww.
I'll call Tio, okay? Stay here and don't move.
No. No need. Just
Yeah, listen to the way she's breathing. That scared the shit out of her. I mean, that was haunting. It really was.
leave me alone.
Tio will know how to fix you. Oh, wait, okay?
I wish I could speak reassurances to her, but I just can't shake this off. The dread is there, twisting in my insides in anticipation. Of what? I am no longer sure. Pushing myself off the counter, I break into a run. Brushing off the anxious look Kylie gives me when I gently push her away and on my way out, or the furrow in Luke's brows when I stumble into him outside. Whatever they both saw in my face, I care not to know. Bloody hell, I don't even understand what's happening anymore. And that's understandable. Jesus Christ. Now we're in the afternoon. The tremors continued long after the last of my classes have ended. Although none of my students have commented on it, I've caught a few staring, anxious glasses every time a pen slips from my hand or my shoulders tense whenever called. Yeah, I honestly don't know how she was able to go right back to work and teach a class after that. I envy that. I don't think there's any way in hell I'd be able to do that. How unusual it must be for them to see the normally composed Miss Gales become a bundle of nerves. Even the most boisterous ones have given me less grief today. You would think being on my 4th cup of tea would provide some sort of comfort. Or is this the 5th now? Egad, why does counting matter now? The fact that I can't easily shake it off this time should tell me something. The last time this happened, I passed it off as some sort of lapse in my part, after having been sick the whole week before.
And it is a natural conclusion.
Those are just stories, a centuries-old lore passed by locals to keep children in line. What place doesn't have those? One of my dad's books even went as far as to describe them as a strong part of Isabella's culture. Tree giants, women who feed on unborn children straight from a mother's womb, or hell, there's even that one story about a demon baby. All folklore that has never had a smidgen of truth in it, most probably told to scare off the natives back in the old days. Much like every other one in every other place, the world is more universal than people care to think. But looking at it from where I'm standing now, after staring right into the eyes of that woman, after all the things I've been hearing and feeling, perhaps there's really more to that bloody letter than some awful Halloween prank after all.
Perhaps Isabella's right all along.
Yep, perhaps. I'm glad she's finally seeing that something's going on and it's not just her imagination. A terrible thing if true. Though that thought doesn't linger long, thankfully. Soon, the ringing of my mobile takes my attention away from it. An unfamiliar name flashes before me once the screen lights up and my brows knit together. Mary Ann McCullough. Mary Ann McCullough. Staring hard at the screen, I try to remember when I've entered this person into my contact list. The library. It takes a moment, but when it clicks, my eye zeroes in on the book lying wide open on my table. Loaned out from the library almost a week ago now. I met the woman there by sheer coincidence, a fellow history buff apparently. We were there after the same book, but in the end she's given it to me under the condition that I call her once I'm done. And to be honest, I've completely forgotten all about it until now. And well, I haven't really taken a peek at it until today. Normally, I'd be done with the whole volume of this size a few days after taking it out. About 1, 2, depending on how busy it is. Or how busy I am. But finding a chance to sit down and read through it has been more difficult lately than I had anticipated. One moment I'm busy simply guarding worksheets, attending a movie premiere the next, and then someone suddenly inviting me out for a reason or another. Days later, a friend stopped showing me up in her flat, right after worrying reports pop up in the local news. There simply isn't enough time to breathe and get a grip on things. I have been flipping through the pages of the said book moments ago, though never really reading anything and merely hoping to use it as a distraction. To no avail. My phone gives off another ring, and this time I don't hesitate to answer.
Marianne?
Hello! Here I was starting to wonder if it was a bad time to call. Is it?
No, not at all.
Mm-mm.
I dismissed my last class a few minutes ago. I'm pretty much free for the rest of the afternoon. Unless something comes up. Is this about last time? The book?
Not really. I was hoping to ask you about some other thing.
Oh, really?
Oh, sure. What about?
You grew up in this city, didn't you?
It's a peculiar question to ask someone you've just met, but I answer her nevertheless. I'm more curious where she's heading with this by starting with that.
Born and raised, 3rd-generation migrant. Why do you ask?
So So, you must be familiar with the local lore. The, stories?
Oh yeah, who isn't familiar with the stories, right?
Quite. If I'm going to teach about history, I'd like to think I am, yeah? But a family friend would be a better person to ask. If you want, I can contact him for you.
No, let's just keep this thing between us, okay? It's nothing too big. Alright. I really don't know how else to put this without sounding a bit crazy. But things have been really, odd. Do you remember the mansion I mentioned back when we met? My current project?
On hindsight, I should have expected you to lead to this. She must not have lived here long if she's just asking about all this right now. It didn't take a week with Isabella when she arrived, but that's Isabella, superstitious down to the last hair. Though it won't be too far off to think Marianne has only started thinking about this recently. She's working on the damn house itself. I must admit, even I'm curious now, despite living here for so many years and having so many chances to look it up before.
The Ermengarde mansion, yes?
Yes, that one. And, the thing is...
Such a hard conversation for Marianne. You can tell this has taken a lot.
Oh dear, this is a bad idea. You know what? Just forget I ever called you about this.
Oh boy.
It must have been the sunny weather. It's making me sick and see stupid things.
See things?
No, wait.
Yeah, she wants to know, what are you seeing the same thing I'm seeing? Because, yeah, I want to make sure I'm not crazy, too. We can both be crazy together.
It's all right. I don't mind.
And there's a moment of pause before she responds again. She's right in that this is a silly thing to talk about, especially between what I assume two people who are pretty grounded on their beliefs with regards to these kind of things. I won't blame her if she hesitates.
I can't believe I'm asking you about this.
It's fine. Why don't you just think of it as some form of research?
There you go.
Well, alright. But after this, we're going to forget we ever had this talk.
My lips will be sealed. Now, what is it about the mansion?
So, I think I wonder if a small part of Rebecca is kind of hoping that Marianne has had the same kind of visions and same kind of experiences, again, just so that it'll make her not feel so damn effed up, for seeing the same kind of visions, seeing what she just saw in Kylie.
Just, what do you know about it? The general gist. The place is past. What happened to the owners? Anything you can give me.
Let's see. To start off,
I do my best to give her a concise summary from the time the house was commissioned 400 years ago and who had it built, up to the point where it got deserted after the last heir's death, and the dead was passed on the immigrants' nearest relatives. Passed on to the immigrants' nearest relatives. Frankly, if it weren't for these urban legends persisting, the house would have already faded into obscurity long ago. Demolished, even. Boy, wouldn't that be nice? These are all nothing she probably hasn't heard of before. Yet there's dissatisfaction in her tone once I finish.
That's all there really is to it?
as far as I know. There's this little bit I forgot to mention about Lady Charlotte Ermengarde's death, but most of those are just theories. Aside from that, this is really everything we've been teaching all these years. Should there be anything more?
No mention of any other weird stuff? Other crazy stories? Or a letter of some sort?
Oh boy. And my blood runs cold with that. Any warmth and comfort the tea I've drank has given me prior has instantly been drained out of me now. The phone creaks softly as my light hold on it turns to a firm grip. This whole letter bullshit is starting to turn into more than a coincidence.
None that I've heard or read of. What does a letter have to do with this?
Oh, no. It was just something I came across. Ignore it. Random thoughts, you know?
Oh boy. Yeah, they're not just random thoughts.
By the way, I need to run. Thanks for answering my questions.
And she ends the call abruptly with only a clipped goodbye, leaving my mind heavy with even more thoughts. Yeah, for sure. The mood around my classroom has gone considerably denser, in the light of what I've gleaned from that conversation. I don't think Mary Ann's lying about her intent. Her interest is definitely genuine, I give her that. But she's left a lot of things out. Oh, for sure, she was stumbling over her words. She definitely wasn't saying all that's on her mind. We both know that. I mean, we all know that. I get the sense she only asked because something's happened around here too. And if she hasn't mentioned the letter, I probably wouldn't have made that connection. But since she mentioned that letter, yeah, something's happening with her too.
Just what the hell did we get ourselves into?
Exactly. Of course, there's still a lot of confusing details in all of this. All of these are just assumptions. No concrete conclusion can be formed with what we have. And if we want to find out what we're really dealing with, I think Mary Ann's right. There might be something more to those stories. As absurd as it sounds, the very place that gave us the letter might tell us something beyond what we know. And tomorrow night, I have a few hours of that chance at the housewarming party. Totally not an exciting thought, since the place is privately owned now. I can't just wander around. But it's enough reason to keep the dread at bay, as I step out of the room ready to put an end to this day. And in the afternoon at the high school, however, all those good vibes disappear into thin air when I run headfirst into Luke. There's really something in this man. Regardless of how much my opinion of him has changed over the span of just a few hours, he simply blasts through every good impression people have of him, without a care of thought. He doesn't even need to open his mouth. His mere presence does it alone. In all honesty, I think he's the kind of guy only a mother can love.
You're still here?
Obviously. Who do you think's standing in front of you?
God.
An ass?
An ass?
Oh, come on, Daisy. You've done better than that. Losing your touch?
Luke, I don't have time for this. I'm heading home, and your face is the last thing I want to see before I leave. What do you want?
Belatedly, I notice his hand, partly raised, almost poised for a knock. At a slight lift of an eyebrow, he quickly drops it to his side and turns to Kylie. She's standing a few steps away from him, holding her hands behind her back and towing at something on the floor with the tip of her shoe. And then he proceeds to make vague gestures at me and the child. He resembles a fish flopping for air the way he's moving his arms. That's funny. Although I think he's trying to urge her to speak up.
Munchkin, I thought you wanted to tell her something.
You do it, Teal.
Huh.
This wasn't my idea, darling.
Oh boy.
Don't worry. I won't tell Tia what you told me the other day. And this morning.
Luke excels, rolling his eyes at the ceiling and maybe praying for the universe to grant him more patience. He knows a losing battle when he sees one. He may act worse than a 5-year-old throwing a tantrum at times, but he's no match for an actual child. Nothing better than being served a dose of his own medicine, eh? That's pretty funny. Once his frustration has been promptly let out, he points a rude finger at me. I do my best to stare the offending digit down, but I can already hear the demand before it's even out of his lips.
You, come with us.
Uh-oh.
What makes you think I will?
Because little Rugrat here is upset and worried, and it's your bloody fault.
Uh-oh.
I've no idea what happened this morning, but if you don't come with us, I won't be hearing the end of it from her. So do me a favor, Daisy, and just be glad I'm inviting you.
You're asking for a favor, and you can't be bothered to be polite?
She's got a point there.
I don't know. It's been a really busy day for me. I kind of miss my couch.
Yeah.
Daisy, you just say yes.
A pause follows, almost too dramatic. Afterwards, his face twists into something between a grimace and a smile. As it happens, he appears like he's in a lot of physical pain. You would think the man is getting an aneurysm by simply being polite.
Please?
That's kind of funny.
Tio said it'll be his treat.
What? I said no such thing, Munchkin. I only agreed to this because you requested it. I'm under no obligation to feed her.
I promise I'll be quiet the next time I visit.
Oh, all right, but just one meal and make it the cheapest.
He and Ashton will get along famously on that department. But on a different front, the offer for free dinner does sound enticing, however half-heartedly given it is. Mostly because Kylie has wisely put on her puppy eyes, and by the second, I find all my choices slipping away from me.
See, Miss Pink? It'll be fun.
Oh boy.
You don't have to feel sad anymore, okay?
Oh, well,
She's had a long day already, and now she's gonna have to deal with who knows what here. My mobile buzzes from my pocket, cutting me mid-sentence, and for a second I'm spared from the act of giving them an answer I'll regret either way. Fishing the gadget out, I wave a hand at him and excuse myself. A disgruntled expression is on Luke's face before I turn away. I'd be lying if I say it didn't amuse me. He's as eager to be done with this as I am, but what can I do? Checking, a message from Ashton shows up. Hey Becca, I'll be around Salemville this evening. I need to meet someone in the area. I might have to drop by yours and Isabella's place after. See ya. Oh. Just the usual. Unlike what he does to Zachary, Ashton has a decency to let us know when he's dropping by or he's in the area for some business. From the way it's phrased, it sounds to be the latter. Either way, I'm glad he's at least aware of that boundary. Not that Isabella is ever going to let him leave the building unscathed, if he ever pulls the same stunt he does with the other man. I cringe to imagine what she'd do to him. Sighing, I slip the gadget back into my pocket. But looking up to see Luke's utter impatience on his face, I now face a different dilemma. The two of them are still waiting, and knowing the kind of person Luke is, this is already a grand gesture of goodwill coming from him. All to please his godchild. His denials aside, it's easy to tell he's already really fond of Kylie from his actions alone, and I kinda hate to ruin that.
Well, Daisy, we're waiting here.
On the other hand, there is Ash. His message doesn't exactly imply that he's going to wait, or that he's expecting me to be there, but there are matters I hope to discuss with him in person, to put simply. Housewarming party matters. With inviting Isabella out of the question, I only have Zachary and Ashton left. Although the former has already made it clear he'll be busy this week, and well, Ashton has been my first choice from the start. Even if he detests attending gatherings like this. It's company that counts. We can be miserable together. But that's the problem, isn't it? He hates them. He hates parties. And it's very likely his answer will be a flat no. I'd rather not hear that. If by some miracle he agrees to it, he'll probably be sulking at the whole party. Not really a tough choice, but when you put it like that, still... A tough choice, but I have to pick one. I have things to do, okay, but only because Kylie asks. So should I go home and wait for Ash so I can talk to Ash, or should I do this for Kylie? I think we're gonna have to choose Kylie, because just looking at how goddamn adorable she is, and it seems like it's a little more pressing. Yeah, I'm definitely not doing it for Luke, but yeah, I'm gonna give in to the little blue-eyed, blue-haired girl here. Only because Kylie asked. Alright, relationship status ended. Let's check the relationship status here. Luke, we're above where we were before now. Obviously, Kylie isn't even on here. Okay. In the end, it's my own fondness for Kylie that wins out. Chances are, I'll only have to endure his presence for an hour or so. If it lasts more than that, I can make up an excuse, a sudden call from a friend, or things I had to work on. It doesn't seem so bad when I think of the pros and the cons. At best, it'll be a quiet dinner. At worst, it'll be an awkward affair we're both eager to be rid of. I'm leaning more on the latter happening, hoping for the former, of course.
Okay, but only because Kylie asked.
There you go. And Kylie's face instantly lights up. For the third time today, she tackles me into a hug before pulling away and dragging me by the hand towards the building's exit.
That's alright. I'm sure Tio doesn't mind. He let me pick where we're going to eat. Don't worry, it's just close.
Luke follows closely behind, and perhaps out of some desire to keep the dead air away. I can't resist throwing in a quip.
Keep your distance. You better not do anything funny, you hear?
I'm the one who should keep my distance. May I remind you who approached me first and what you did right after?
That's funny.
Oh, I remember it clearly. But perhaps it's you who needs a reminder. You seem to have never learned your lesson. Care we give it another try? Maybe this time it'll stick.
Maybe this time it'll stick.
I love the way he mocks her.
You think you're scary? I'll show you what's scary.
Oh, damn. And to my surprise, his tone lacks the usual sardonic note in it, and briefly I pause to stare at him. He quickly shuts his mouth right after and walks ahead of us. All talk and no trousers like the usual, and for the better part of our walk, except for Kylie's excited chatter, we don't speak. Somehow I have this strange feeling I'm already getting used to this kind of banter with him. I'm not sure if that's a good or a bad thing. And amidst this newfound friendship, dare I call it that, Ashton's message lays forgotten and abandoned in my pocket. Alright, in the evening of Thursday now. All of the places nearest to the school, Kylie picks this one, and waiting for the food to be served is as awkward as I've ever imagined it would be. Not the bad sort, though. The pleasant kind. Surprisingly, Luke's an okay bloke when he tries. That's when he tries. So long as you're willing to look past the tactless remarks there, we're not exchanging I don't even know that word, acerbic quips? It's clear he's making an effort for this to be as fun as possible for the 6-year-old she's only 6? So he's trying to make an effort for it to be as fun as possible for the 6-year-old by being chattier. Even going so far as to laugh when Kylie's story calls for it. It's an interesting thing to hear from the man. More than once I catch his frequent, cheesed-off expression easy whenever he looks at the girl.
And your friend? Did you make up with her?
Yep. She said she just saw something she didn't like. She didn't accept the jellies, though. She
Aw.
told me to give it to you instead. She knows you like the red ones, too.
Very well. Hand it to me later. I'll bring some of them home. I think your Tia would love to have some.
What a terrible liar. He says he dislikes the idea of having children of his own, but it's easy to see some part of him genuinely wants a kid. So what's stopping him? Once Kylie wanders to the nearby bookshelves after having lost interest in the conversation, however, we both revert back to silence. On our own, we have little to talk about, aside from a few questions about the other here and there. At one point, it does veer on local politics and history. He's surprisingly versed with it. He's so surprisingly versed with it that he can hold a decent conversation without throwing any jibes. Nothing too personal is ever mentioned so far, though. It's too early for those, and besides, I don't like him enough to speak every minute of every detail of my life. Better keep it strictly between the silence and the casual repertoire. This whole thing already looks and feels wrong on so many levels. I'm quite sure he feels the same. So when another bout of silence hits us and becomes too much, I've taken to finding something else to occupy myself. Toying with my mobile, turning it from hand to hand while we wait for our respective meals. But it'll be a complete lie if I say I'm not waiting for some intervention. Something to pull me away from this place. Someone. Ashton's probably at Salemville by this time, working on whatever business he has there. Maybe if I make up an excuse and leave now, I can still catch him.
Cut that out, it's distracting.
My hand steals, holding the gadget awkwardly between us, arrested mid-pass by his bored tone. He's been quiet for a long minute now after complaining about how appalling the tea they're serving us here is. Before that, he has whined about how uncomfortable his chair is and tasteless the decorations they have here. Previous to that, he has griped about how dull the place is, compared to the one he frequents on the upper class side of the city. But he's just bitching about everything. Well, I'm sorry for being a bunch of peasants, Your Majesty. Figures he'll lose patience soon, having already grumbled about almost everything his eyes can reach. It's just unfortunate he's turned to me now.
Why don't you just look somewhere else?
I can't. If I turn elsewhere, I might end up looking at the bobfuck right behind us.
Oh, I'm so sure.
Bob,
What?
do I even want to ask?
I don't want to hear it. If it's coming out of his mouth, it can only be either rude or offensive. Regardless, he continues anyway.
Everything looks good. But have you seen the face? True horror.
What is wrong with you?
Oh, look at her face.
You know, I frown about this in practice, but that mouth needs to be washed out with a particularly potent soap. Preferably by your own mum.
A shame she isn't here,
For whatever reason, that puts an end to that talk right away. He returns to watching his godchild, who has found a particularly interesting picture book and is now poring over it, while I turn back to my mobile. Still no message. Would it kill him to at least send me a message? Click if I were home? Meanwhile, Luke's silence lasts all of about 10 whole seconds.
What is it with the damn mobile? Are you on a curfew?
He's got the immaturity act down pat. I'll give him that. Seriously, how old is this guy? Has he somehow been deprived of affection during his childhood?
And what is it to you? I don't think it's any of your business what I do with it.
It is my business, all right?
How is it your business who the hell she's calling or what she does with her phone, dude? You don't even know her. And last night she was kicking you in the nuts and smacking you upside the head with a hardcover book. And now it's your business to know what the hell she's doing or who she's talking to on her phone? I don't think so, dude.
1, I'm the one paying here.
Oh god, give me a break.
2, I'm being forced to eat dinner in a place this stuffed and noisy.
Dude, you wanted her to come here with you. For Kylie's sake, remember?
Lastly, it's been 10 minutes, the food isn't here, and I'm hungry.
Oh my.
What you're doing with the mobile is annoying and distracting, when the least you could do is keep things entertaining while I suffer.
This guy's a pain in the ass. This guy's a joke, man. This guy's an ass, as she's already said many times. I don't know why she's starting to take a little bit of a liking to this guy, because he's no different. He's the same asshole we've known this entire visual novel.
That's your problem? Shouldn't you be more worried about how this entire affair looks to other people?
Oh, I didn't realize this was one. You move fast, Daisy. You could have informed me first, you know. Had I known, I would have taken you someplace nicer.
Oh boy, that's disgusting. Dude, you're married.
Certainly the kind with better food and plenty of good wine.
Why did I ever think this was a good idea?
Yeah, I definitely made the wrong choice by agreeing to go with them. I should have just went home and waited for Ash.
Did it ever occur to you how inappropriate this might look to everyone?
Why should I care? It's only inappropriate if you make it out to be. Relax, I won't do anything to make your boyfriend angry. He doesn't even need to know we dined out.
Your boyfriend angry?
It'll be our dirty little secret.
Oh, Jesus.
He's not my boyfriend.
Talking about Ash, of course. The words come out with more force than I intended. And by the time I realize I slip up, his lips are already spread into a sneer. Heat slowly crawls up on my face.
Oh, so there is someone. You're so easy to read.
And briefly, his eyes search my face. I have no idea what he sees, nor do I even care to know. But in the next second, he barks out a laugh, displaying his amusement without reserve to everyone within earshot. In that moment, I know I've flipped a switch in him somewhere, and I've lost my chance to deny his assumptions. Do I even want to? Isn't that the reason why I've been so focused on my mobile, waiting for another message for him? For a reason to dump this awkward meeting to go after him, Ash.
Look how mottled you are.
Oh boy.
Now the nickname makes more sense. Shy Miss Pink and her cute little crush. The color suits you, by the way. It matches the hair.
It's not a crush.
Look, it almost looks like she's blushing, though.
Classic denial. But in reality, you want him to be yours, and your every move is made to make him notice you. In fact, you don't want him to see you with another man in a non-professional capacity, because he might misinterpret it.
The same thing goes for you, doesn't it? Bloody, yours is even worse. What about your wife? Aren't you concerned she might misinterpret this?
Daisy, just because we tied the knot doesn't mean we have to be joined at the hip at every single opportunity.
Oh, man, this guy is so disgusting.
Don't be ridiculous. Why else would you marry her if you don't want to be with her for the rest of your lives?
Exactly.
Because, Daisy, she also has other things she can do with her life and friends to spend time with. Granted, I don't like some of them, and I have a few of my own she utterly dislikes. But wifey doesn't have to know my every move. Nor do I hers.
Yeah, this guy is a real winner.
Do you know how boring that would be? To be with the same person for all hours of the day, losing sleep over the mere fact they're not with you,
Jesus.
or putting everything you have aside to please them, to have your whole world revolve around one person.
This guy doesn't know what love is, that's for sure. This guy doesn't know what being faithful means. He doesn't know what commitment means. This guy's just disgusting, despicable. As we've already known.
Aren't you just mistaking that for something else? Unlike you, there are other people here who don't share the same jaded outlook you have. Don't lump everyone together just because it didn't work out for you.
Wow. He's telling him.
And you, my dear, are unexpectedly naive.
What's so naive about it? If you love each other, wouldn't you want to always see them?
Exactly.
Be with them? To have them focus solely on you?
Exactly. Good job, Rebecca.
Maybe you haven't been loved enough.
Damn.
Oh, it's that kind of thing for you, isn't it? The love is eternal, love is a strong emotion shite. A starry-eyed girl pining for her dashing Prince Charming? What's next? Romantic confessions of love? A grand wedding on the beach? Dozens of spawns running around in some picturesque home in the suburbs?
Oh, man.
How quaint. Are you also expecting it's going to be sunshine and rainbows after? A happily ever after?
You know, one thing's for certain. A married man who's been married to a beautiful woman in Hannah should not be talking like a single red pill freaking loser like he's speaking. He's speaking like he's single and like he's not married and like he's got freedom that he honestly doesn't and shouldn't have.
Please.
What? I never once said... And is all of that such a bad thing to hope for?
Woman, I've been married for 7 years, and I'm telling you, it's far from what you have in your pretty red head. Tell me, how long has this song and dance been going for you and your man? Maybe I am mistaken.
Averting my eyes from him is all I managed to do. What does this mere 7 years have compared to the 17 I've had with Ash? It's laughable he thinks those two things are even comparable. Ash and I may have never moved past the boundaries of friendship, like what I'm hoping for years, but what we have isn't something anyone can scoff at. I've always been by his side, endured everything with him. I know him better than anyone. No matter what this man, this complete stranger says, I know there will always be a place for me beside him. And yet...
Come on, Daisy, that shouldn't be too hard.
Well, it sounds like we are learning something new, or it sounds like Rebecca's feelings for Ash are considerably deeper than I thought they were. And it's coming out, at least in her thoughts that we're reading, because of Luke here provoking her over dinner. Come on, Daisy, it shouldn't be that hard.
3, 5, 8, 10, 20.
His words easily seep into my heart like sharp daggers, gradually picking apart everything I've ever been sure of. Despite myself, the doubts resurface and my defenses crumble right in front of my eyes. It's no wonder he sees right through me, and as expected, he ridicules it. Oh man, his laugh gives me the creeps. Restrained, low and rumbling, a sharp sound striking the air around us, amidst the murmur of people and the soft notes of the music playing over our heads. His shoulders shake, and when his mirth becomes too much even for him, he reaches up a hand and passes it over his face, as if to hold his glee close to him.
Bloody bullocks, this is just brilliant.
Wow, what an evil laugh.
Oh, mother, why do I always keep running into these things? This day couldn't get any better. I think I'm gonna need a stiff drink after this.
Oh, he dissolves into another peal of laughter, but when it subsides, what he has for me are more words. Bathing, each of them. The urge to run from here has never been so strong.
Is everything you said how you plan to act, if that man of yours ever ends up with you? Cling to him? Put him on a bloody pedestal? Let him become the center of your universe?
Oh man.
Although with how long this seems to be going on, I think you've already done so. Marriage will just be icing on the top. Like some sort of reward for you, isn't it? For being a good, patient, loyal little girl all this time. Never looking at another man. You must have been having a grand time with someone pining over him this long. I'm a little envious, to be honest. Maybe also a little surprised he hasn't suffocated from all your attention yet.
Laugh all about it if you want. It's not like you'll ever understand.
Right? Luke falls silent. The ridicule in him is gone in an instant, and his eyes meet mine, sharp and imposing. A challenge, but I hold it against him with the same intensity. Because if there's something I won't let his opinion trample on, it's this. What does he even know? However, he's the first one who looks away, focusing his eyes back to where Kylie is, and for a moment, I believe I've won. Until he draws in a breath and turns back to me. Yep. The words he drops next, though, hushed, hang heavily in the distance between us.
You're right. I won't. But I do know not to mistake love for obsession, woman. They are not the same thing.
Damn. It rattles. Out of everything he said tonight, this is the one thing that twinges my heart. Maybe it's the manner he delivers it, the lack of conceit in his posture, or an underlying insult in the tone that he takes. The remark is not meant to cut, but merely to express a simple truth. This time it's him who holds gaze against mine. Another unspoken challenge, and I realize that if this happened minutes before, I'd already have an equally searing retort at the tip of my tongue. There's none. But the anger is there, ringing at my insides, prodding at the uncertainties I've long kept. Isn't that enough? We've had the long years we've been together. We have the memories. Whenever he needs me, until other people came in between us, I've always been the one that's there. That dedication and loyalty should mean something, shouldn't it? I've always been sure of it. And that, one day, he'll see it for what it is. Will he, though? What did she say, 18 years? In spite of that, in this moment, under this man's scrutiny, my own heart wavers now. Now I struggle to find the words. I don't need to answer that, or what right do you have? Yeah, I think she's gonna say, what right do you have to ask me anything about love? I think that's be the right thing to say. Let's watch and see if the relationship goes down. It's a little above normal right now. I have a feeling if I say what I want to say, it's gonna go down a little bit. Let's see. Yep, relationship stayed updated. And yes, it did go down a little bit right at the line now. That's fine. How dare he, though? How dare he just waltz in and act like he can do as whatever he damn well pleases, say whatever the hell he wants, or trample over other people's feelings. I have to agree. He doesn't know anything about me or Ashton, or about love either. We've only met a few days ago, and yet he acts like we've been acquainted for years. He hasn't even met Ash. How can he say these things about him? The longer I hear his tirade, the more it sounds like he's pulling it out of his ass. Out of some misguided thinking he's better than anyone in this whole damn bloody city. What a pompous bawhead. Normally I ignore people like him. He doesn't deserve a single second of my day. But a small voice in the back of my head protests at the idea of simply leaving things here. I refuse to let this go until I've said my piece and I've defended myself. Good for you. Those aren't merely months of harboring feelings for someone he's scoffing at. They're made of years, all of it built on memories that we've had from our childhood.
What right do you have to tell me that?
None whatsoever, Daisy. But did you assume I haven't seen that before? Those longing looks? The face of someone who wants something but has yet to get it?
Damn it.
Give me a little credit here, woman. I'm not daft, nor am I blind to your silly little feelings.
Man, this guy is such a freaking asshole, dude. Like, this guy acts like he's the, I don't know, Mr. Know-It-All of everything, and, you know, like he knows Ash, or he knows what love is, and he obviously doesn't when he's out, you know, trying to cheat on his own wife after only 7 years together. Cheat with the gal that's the interior decorator, Marianne, of all people. And of course he didn't know who she was, but this guy's just, and he's proved himself over and over and over again to just be a complete asshole, even to his own wife. Like, he is definitely not one to talk or talk down about anybody else's feelings or relationship or friendship or whatever it might be. Anyway.
It's plastered all over your face anyway. I didn't even need to try.
A pause comes after while I wait for him to add to that. He doesn't, but briefly a wistful expression spreads across his face. Surprisingly gentle, as if remembering an old memory from once upon a time, or something he has constantly seen in the mirror. It's gone in the very next second, and then he turns his attention on a box beside him. And for the next few moments he contents himself with making a mess out of the paper napkins inside, folding them into clean shapes without any clear intent, before crumpling them in his hand when he loses interest, and then dumping them in a small pile in front of him. I allow it to go on for a little while before I interrupt him. I am not done yet.
And somehow that's reason enough for you.
Not at all. In fact, you didn't even need to stay here and listen to me ramble about it. Go on, walk away. The door's wide open. If you wish to be done with this mindless topic. You certainly won't hear me complaining if we just drop this now. I, for one, am very eager to be done with this stupid nonsense about your man and your...
You don't know me.
Yeah, she's right. You don't know her. He pauses in the middle of folding another paper napkin into an airplane and glances up at me.
I'm quite sure we've already established that, Daisy. But go ahead.
And you know not a single thing about him.
Yep.
That too is true. Are you going anywhere with this?
We've always been together since we were children. We've been friends for a long time. We know each other better than anyone. Compared to those 7 measly years you're so proud of, we've been with each other for almost a lifetime.
Damn.
Not quite. Add a few more years, maybe? It does sound romantic when you put it that way, doesn't it? Not many people get to have someone with them that long. That's what you have going for you, isn't it? Cute years playing hide and seek, going to school together, and sharing lunchboxes?
Oh boy. He's belittling her friendship with Ash now.
Did he also protect you from bullies? I bet my socks he did.
Oh my.
Lucky I don't even remember anyone from my old neighborhood. Well, except for that one Nancy who spat his drink in my face years ago. You better pray I don't find him.
So, you're just going to call it that? Despite what I told you, you're just going to call it an obsession?
Isn't it?
What? Of course it isn't.
Look at her face.
Didn't I already tell you?
Did it ever cross your mind how your man would feel about all this?
You think I've never thought of that? Listen here, you.
Or were you expecting he'll simply feel the same all because of some shared history you have? Because fun fact, Daisy, feelings change and people most definitely also change with time.
Ouch.
Whoever that person was 10 or 20 years ago, whatever idea you have of them floating inside your head, they won't be the same now.
Damn. You might be right there. There's a ring of truth. People do change, and people's feelings change, especially over 18 years.
What are you trying to get at?
Suppose that man of yours wants something else for himself. What if he never returns your feelings, the way you so desperately want him to? What will you do?
Damn, what a question.
That's not going to...
She doesn't know what to say.
Are you going to beg? Tell him to choose you instead?
Yeah, you can't tell somebody what to choose or who to be in love with or...
Or are you going to lash out at the poor woman or man who happened to catch your man's attention?
Damn. Yeah, what if Ash does choose another woman? Imagine how heartbroken she'd be now that we know how long she's had feelings, intense feelings for Ash. Yeah, she's at a loss for words. My voice falters. His eyes focus on me. The pieces of paper he's been folding earlier have now left forgotten in the space between us, while he waits for my response. However, I can't give him one. He's already aware of that, and it shows all over his face when his lips form a lopsided smirk. Still, he's a complete dick for even questioning her or her feelings, or even saying, that it's just a fantasy you have. What if it is just a fantasy you have? Like, let her have her own damn fantasies. You don't know her well enough to be questioning her like this. And he's a complete asshole for prying, or for even asking her these questions. How can I when I've had my suspicions all along? One that rears its ugly head every time I simply see the two of them in the same room. Is she talking about Ash and, what's her name? Isabel? Is she wondering, like, what happened? I wonder if she's thinking of Ash and Isabel. One that rears its ugly head every time I simply see the two of them in the same room.
Oh, I hit a nerve, didn't I?
Man, what a dickhead, man. Wow, he's just provoking the hell out of her.
That's none of your business.
It's true, though. The poor bloke doesn't have any obligation to return your precious feelings. nor can you force him to. That wouldn't be right.
No, he's got a point there. I mean, I can't say he doesn't have a point. I can say he's an asshole for everything he's saying to her and for trying to shatter her dreams in the manner that he's doing it. But his truth is definitely, I mean, that's what makes it so painful for her, is the fact that he is speaking true words. You know, he doesn't have any obligation to return her feelings. And he may not have the same feelings. We don't know. And even if he was to finally express to him, hey, I've loved you for so long, you know, that could create an awkward distance between them, especially if he didn't feel the same way. And it's not like she can force him to love her back. We don't know what his feelings are, though. And he really has no right to question anything or to make her second guess herself.
If you're just going to mock me, we might as well sew your bloody mouth shut this instant.
Yeah, she's right. Her heart's breaking because of this asshole. He is putting negative thoughts in her heart and in her mind, and he's just a jackass for doing this to her.
Now, no need to get violent. But come on, 20 years? God, even I wouldn't last that long.
What do you say? Even 20 years? Gordon Bennett, if nothing's happened past that mark, you might as well consider your options, woman. Don't tell me he's going to try to worm his way into, you know, sleeping with him or something like that. I don't think that's where he's going, but he's so despicable, I wouldn't put it past him.
Stop it.
One of these days, I'd like to meet the guy and share a few drinks with him, just to give the poor bloke a break from you. And probably see how dense he really is.
Man, what a complete jackass. I'm hating this Luke guy more and more. This visual novel is certainly making me hate a fictional character. And that's where the good writing comes in. I mean, if a visual novel can make you have emotions, good or bad, towards any character in the story, then it's damn well doing a good job. And this visual novel is definitely doing a good job. And I think of not just me, but I think this visual novel is probably making a lot of people hate this bastard with a fury. Yeah, he wants to meet this guy, share a few drinks with him, just to give the poor bloke a break from you. An insult thrown at her. And probably just see how dense he really is. So now insults thrown at a guy he doesn't even know yet. So he's just throwing insults left and right, like he's fucking, you know, the almighty himself. Like, what a complete ass.
I mean, a lovely woman like you chasing after him, and he doesn't give a shite? That's new.
Yep, that's exactly where he's going. So now he's complimenting her, saying, oh, a lovely woman like you chasing after such a loser. And he doesn't give a shit? What a piece of shit he is to not give a shit about you. This guy doesn't know if Ash gives a shit about her or not. He doesn't know him from Adam, or what his feelings are. But now he's trying to put in her mind that this gal that she's obviously had feelings for so long doesn't give a shit about her. Like, what a complete ass. And it probably is, because he's probably going to try to sneak his way into cheating on his wife with this redhead now. What a piece of shit.
It'll be on me, don't worry.
Oh boy.
I said stop it! I don't want to hear a word of it anymore!
You're just an ass, dude. The chair scrapes the floor as I abruptly push away from our table to stand. Looming over him with the most piercing glower I can summon, anger undeterred by my own ragged breathing and my clenched fist. Looking down at him in the same manner he did to me through this chat. The only way I can keep my pride intact in front of him and the other people watching this sudden scene unfold. I hate this man. I hate the fact that he can unsettle me like this, turning everything around what I believe with in his mere words alone. What's more awful? It's how easy those can replace the very ideas I hold so dear to me. Not because I'm easily swayed, but because in each of them I'm aware there's a sliver of truth. Minutes pass in quiet tension. Some of the diners have already lost interest in the commotion and returned to their own meals. A waiter serves our food soon enough, and Kylie makes her way back to our table, completely unaware. But before I can take a seat, Luke mutters something. The words spoken in the same biting tone he has assumed since earlier. Despite my opinion of the man, I stop to look at him. His eyes are on his food as he speaks, busying himself with cutting a portion of meat on his plate. But what comes out of him only rings true against my ears, above the din of the coffee house.
Is that all you are? Just some lovesick woman craving for another's affection?
Dude, give it up, you sack of shit.
I sincerely hope not. Kylie spoke highly of you.
Man. He spears a piece of his food, pops it in his mouth, and that's it. And with that, however, he leaves another challenge in the air. Another question. One whole day with this man, and I still can't figure out what his deal is. This time, I don't rise up to it. Doing so means facing a different set of truths that I'm not ready to face. Bitter truths. Those are for me to ponder on later, not in front of these people or in front of him. His loathsome face and his sneer are the last things I ever want to see in that introspection ever happens. But for all of this, I can't bring myself to think of him as someone wholly despicable. The rest of our meal slips by in silence afterwards. Aside from Kylie's occasional chatter, the whole dinner goes by without another word exchanged between the two of us. Somehow, we managed to make it through the whole thing without triggering another tension-riddled conversation. That's a good thing, perhaps. One, because Kylie's sitting right in front of us, and two, I probably won't be able to hold a proper conversation with my mind heavy with thoughts now. We depart from the coffee house just as the evening crowd starts to thin out. Oh boy, the same wordless silence fills our short walk back to the school. Except for when Luke gestures at a nearby flower shop and enters it without waiting for Kylie and I. He emerges minutes later carrying a bouquet of daffodils, with the same softened expression back on his face. Unlike the previous one, he tucks this one away almost as soon as he looks up at us, a moment he's not willing to share. At my confusion, he merely answers with a shrug and continues walking.
For someone important.
For someone important. Yeah, she's not important. I accept it for what it is, if only because he doesn't owe me any explanation. It does leave more questions about him, however, each one as baffling as the previous ones. And those are the last words spoken this evening before we head our own ways. Up until I arrive home, I still can't understand him. And back at her apartment, here, however, a whole different set of questions await me. And much like everything today, it comes with the littlest of things. A lone note greets me upon reaching my unit's door. Its edges flutter lightly against the faint, warm breeze passing through the small complex. My hand stops short of twisting the knob as I stare at it, though I don't make any moves to take it. Story updated. Action's neat script lines at surface. Hey, I dropped by earlier. You weren't around. Any ideas where Scaredy Cat is? Talking about Isabel. I couldn't contact her. Inspector Abigail has a few questions. The LPD stuff, something about her dead coworkers. Anyway, let me know how the two of you have been doing. I'll see you later, okay? Ash. The message he left, short and straight to the point, but not without the underlying hint of friendship. He's looking for Isabella, apparently. Ouch. After that conversation that Luke and all the thoughts Luke put in her heart and in her mind, Yeah, this is gonna sting like crazy to think that Ash just thinks of her as just a friend. Something about LPD's investigation and her co-worker's death, but ends its formal tone by checking on me. Us. Any other day, the former part of this message would likely prod at the piercing envy I've been holding, while the latter will probably send my heart aflutter. Little things from him that I want to mean something more. Yet this time, only guilt fills me, and my eyes briefly shifts towards Isabella's empty unit. Luke's words repeat inside my head as I do so.
Is that all you are? Just some lovesick woman craving for another's affection?
Damn it.
I sincerely hope not. Kylie spoke highly of you.
Have I always been like this?
Aww. This selfish? The truth, I've intended to call Ash after that dinner. If I didn't catch him here, invite him to that party like I planned. There's still time, and he's still probably awake around this hour. But my hands, they won't move. And perhaps it's for the better. Until I've had time to think this through, it's probably best if I distance myself from those I've been clinging so tightly to. Find a different perspective and see things for what they really are. And with a soft sigh, I reach for the note and crumple it under my hand. Oh, she crumpled his note to her. The knob twists open with much ease when I enter this time. Maybe after some introspection, it'll be easier. For tomorrow, I have that woman and the mansion to worry about. Yep, so this was another long part of the whole Rebecca point of view. We're over 2 hours now, guys. And we're now hit Friday, and we know this is going to be a long day with a housewarming party at Hannah's, with her going there, with her having to figure out if she's going to bring a friend, is she going to bring Ash, what else going to happen at the housewarming party, at least from Rebecca's point of view. Something that we're going to have to find out in part 19 of the letter. And that'll be LiveStream Under the Moonshine, number 311. We'll probably get to that here pretty soon, guys. This has been another very interesting part of the whole letter, the whole letter visual novel. And even though we're seeing some of the same parts of the same story, like the zombie bitch and, everybody's side of her or whatever, seeing everybody's different point of view is giving us a whole lot of depth and a whole lot of different points of view. I love all these different points of view, going over the same days and going over the same housewarming party that we're going to have next from Rebecca's point of view, because we are getting a really big picture of what everybody thinks, what everybody sees. And remember, guys, we're still going to get Ash's point of view as well. So we're going to find out maybe from Ash's point of view, and I'm curious to find out, does Ashton feel the same about Rebecca after their 18-year-long friendship? That's going to be an interesting perspective for sure. Guys, I continue to look forward to this, and I wonder how it's all going to end after we get all these 7 points of view. Remember, we're on the 5th point of view right now with Rebecca. We still have 2 more. I believe one is from the asshole Luke. We're going to see his point of view. And we're also going to see Ashton's point of view as well. So I do want to go ahead and thank you guys for watching. If you're watching this on YouTube, whenever it is, even if it's years after I recorded it, be sure you comment down below. Be sure you rate my video, guys. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next chapter. Let me go ahead and save here, guys. Put it here in Rebecca. And yeah, this has been another good one. If we go back to the... main menu, quit, and let's take a look at where we are in the gallery. We're only at 62%. I noticed that before tonight we were only at 50%. So we just read 2 hours of the visual novel, and we only moved this up from 50% to 62%. So yeah, there's probably a lot more, especially with her going to the housewarming party. And who knows what'll come with that and how much more we'll learn at that housewarming party from Rebecca's point of view. Alright guys, this has been another good one, and it's been another long one, but I am enjoying. We're getting a lot of depth here, looking at everything from Rebecca's point of view. And we'll be right back here soon with Livestream Into the Moonshine, number 311, and part 19 of the letter. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. We'll see you in the next video, everybody. Take care. This has been Zaxter and Enlighten.